Another morning, another day that feels exactly like the one before. The alarm blares, a familiar, unwelcome sound in the quiet of Aarav's room. He doesn't move. He just lies there, staring at the ceiling, a heavy blanket of exhaustion and emptiness pinning him to the bed. Outside, the sun is already climbing, its rays trying to push through the window, but inside, his world remains dim. His phone, a beacon of digital noise, rests beside him, buzzing with a life that isn't his. Notifications pile up, messages he doesn't want to answer, videos he doesn't need to see, an endless stream of digital chatter. He picks it up, his thumb beginning its mindless dance, scrolling, searching for something he can't name. Every day has become a carbon copy of the last. Wake up late, lose hours to social media, watch others live their lives in vibrant color, traveling to breathtaking places, celebrating milestones, achieving their goals. And then, the inevitable glance back at his own life. The same four walls, the same unchanged reality. The dreams he once held so tightly have long since gathered dust, abandoned in a corner of his mind. There was a time when Aarav was full of fire. He was younger, and the future was a canvas he was eager to paint. He spoke of success, of making his family proud, of forging a new path for himself. But somewhere along the way, fear and procrastination crept in, two silent thieves that stole his ambition. Every night he'd make a solemn promise to the darkness. Tomorrow, I'll start tomorrow. But his tomorrows never arrived. This morning, however, something shifts. Amidst the usual digital clutter, a single message materializes on his screen. It's short, sharp, and brutally direct. If you died today, would you be proud of how you lived? Aarav freezes. His thumb stills its frantic scrolling. His heart begins to pound, a frantic drum against his ribs. He reads the words again, and a third time. He has no idea who sent it or how it found its way to him, but the question pierces through his apathy, striking a nerve deep within his soul. His gaze lifts from the phone and sweeps across the room. It's a mess, cluttered and lifeless, filled with forgotten objects and broken promises. The gentle ticking of the clock on his wall suddenly grows louder, more insistent. Tick, tock, tick, tock. Each second feels weighted, precious, a tiny grain of sand slipping through an hourglass. For the first time, he feels the visceral reality of time escaping, running like water through his fingers. He forces himself up, his legs unsteady, and walks to the mirror. The person staring back is a stranger, tired, dull, lost. The bright-eyed boy with grand dreams is gone, replaced by a ghost with hollow eyes and a face devoid of any spark. "What happened to me?" he whispers, the words hanging in the silent air. The only reply is the relentless rhythm of the clock. He sinks back onto the edge of his bed, his eyes drawn once more to the message on his phone. If you died today, would you be proud of how you lived? A new kind of fear takes hold, not the familiar fear of failure, but the terrifying fear of a life squandered. A montage of missed opportunities flashes through his mind. Every tomorrow he ever uttered, every risk he didn't take, every dream he smothered with an excuse. He closes his eyes, and a single tear traces a path down his cheek. That one simple message has unlocked a truth he can no longer ignore. This wasn't just a random notification. This was a wake-up call. Every second you waste is a part of your life you'll never get back. This single moment, this quiet morning, is the beginning of everything. The question is, what happens next? The next morning, Aarav woke up earlier than usual. That message from last night was still playing on a loop in his mind. If you died today, would you be proud of how you lived? He just couldn't shake it. Those words haunted him everywhere. When he brushed his teeth, when he sat on the edge of his bed, when he opened his laptop. It was like someone had held up a mirror not to his face but to his very soul. He walked over to his real mirror and just stared. He looked older. His eyes were dull. He could see years of wasted time etched onto his reflection. The boy who once believed he could conquer the world was gone, replaced by a man full of excuses. He whispered to himself, a question that echoed in the silence of the room. When did I become like this? The silence was heavy. Aarav's mind drifted back to his younger days, when his dreams were so big they felt like they could touch the sky. He wanted to be successful, to take care of his parents, to make them proud. He wanted to live a life that mattered, one filled with meaning. But somewhere along the way, that fire inside him just went out. He started comparing himself to others, doubting his own worth, and pushing his goals further and further away. Every time he stumbled, he'd tell himself, "It's okay, I'll try later." But later never came. Now as he stood there looking into his own eyes, regret hit him like a tidal wave. He remembered the job he never applied for because he was too scared to fail. He remembered the project he abandoned halfway through. He remembered every single time he chose the comfort of his routine over the challenge of growth. Each memory felt like a heavy weight pressing down on his chest. He finally understood how much time he had squandered, just waiting for the perfect moment. But there is no perfect moment. There is only now. He sat down quietly and pulled out an old, dusty notebook. He flipped through the yellowed pages, his fingers tracing over words written years ago, his goals, his dreams. Start my own business. Learn new skills. Make my parents proud. The ink was faded, but the dreams were still alive. And for the first time in what felt like forever, he felt something ignite inside him, a powerful mix of pain and raw determination. He whispered, his voice trembling slightly, "I can't live like this anymore." His heart began to pound in his chest. A thought, clear and bright, cut through the fog of regret. Maybe it wasn't too late. Maybe he could still change. Maybe he could still rewrite his story. Aarav stood up again, turning to face his reflection one more time. But this time, he didn't just see regret. He saw possibility. He said it softly, but with a newfound strength. "It's my life, my time, my choice. The past cannot be changed, but your future is waiting. Don't waste one more day living with regret." He took a deep, steadying breath. He walked over to the window and threw it open, letting the fresh morning air rush in. The warm sunlight touched his face, and with it came a feeling he hadn't felt in a very, very long time. Hope. In that quiet moment, he made a silent promise to himself, a vow that would change everything. "Tomorrow, I start again. No excuses this time. What's the one thing you've been putting off? Share it in the comments below. Let's hold each other accountable and start our new chapter together." That night, the city was hushed. A thick blanket of clouds covered the sky, and a gentle wind whispered through the empty streets. In his small room, Aarav sat by the window, his gaze lost in the distant city lights. He saw silhouettes in office buildings, cars like fireflies on the asphalt veins below. Life was moving, pulsing, striving. He whispered to his reflection in the glass, "Everyone is running, but where am I going?" The question bounced around the hollow spaces in his mind. He'd spent the entire day in a self-imposed court, judging the case of his own life. The evidence was damning. Hours, days, years wasted. Dreams, once vibrant and loud, now buried under layers of dust and doubt. A strange cocktail of pain and guilt swirled inside him. But tonight something else was fizzing to the surface. A sharp, undeniable restlessness. He simply couldn't sit still anymore. It all started with a single piercing message he'd seen online. "If you died today, would you be proud of how you lived?" Those words had latched onto his soul and refused to let go. He pushed himself up from the window and walked to the mirror. The face staring back wasn't just tired, it was awakened. His eyes were red, not from a lack of sleep, but from the stinging clarity of realization. He saw a ghost in the reflection, the ghost of the boy he used to be. A boy brimming with dreams, with a fierce, uncomplicated hope. The boy who just wanted to make his family proud. Aarav's voice was a raw whisper. "I don't know where I lost you, but I'll find you again." He moved to his small desk, the one cluttered with relics of forgotten ambitions. He opened the old, worn notebook, its pages filled with the ghosts of past goals. But this time, he didn't just read. He uncapped a pen, and as his fingers gripped it, his heart seemed to take control. The ink flowed, a torrent of resolve. His hand moved quickly, furiously, as if trying to outrun his own hesitation. "No more wasting time," he wrote, the words stark against the cream-colored page. "No more fear. No more waiting for tomorrow. I start now." As he finished the sentence, a tremor ran through his hand. It wasn't easy. The familiar, venomous voice of doubt slithered in his ear. What if you fail again? What if all this is for nothing? But tonight, a new voice, stronger and clearer, rose to meet it. What if this time, it countered, you don't quit? He needed air. He climbed the stairs to the rooftop, the cold night air a bracing shock to his skin. It felt fresh, clean. It felt like freedom. He looked up, past the city glow, searching for stars. "I wasted so many years," he said, his voice cracking, waiting for the perfect moment, the right time. "I forgot that every single day is the right time." Tears he didn't know he was holding back finally broke free, tracing hot paths down his cold cheeks. He wasn't crying from sadness, but from a profound sense of release. He looked out at the sprawling city lights, which seemed to pulse with a new, vibrant energy, as if the universe itself was leaning in, listening. He closed his eyes, taking a deep, shuddering breath, and made a silent promise, a vow not to the stars or the city, but to the broken boy in the mirror and the man he was determined to become. "From this night on, I will not live like I did before. I will fight for my dreams. I will fight for my time. I will fight for my life." The wind picked up, whipping through his hair, a powerful crescendo to his quiet declaration. In that moment, he was a figure caught between worlds, half in the shadow of his past, half in the emerging light of his future. He stood there, a silent warrior on the precipice of his own revolution. Every great change begins just like this, with one decision, one moment, one night when you finally look your life in the eye and say, enough. As Aarav walked back down from the rooftop, a distant clock tower began to chime. Dong, 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 12 strokes, ringing in not just a new hour, but a new era. It was midnight, a new day, a new beginning. The decision had been made. Tomorrow, everything would change. The next morning, Aarav woke up before the alarm. For the first time in years, he didn't hit the snooze button. The sky was still dark, but a thin line of light was breaking through the horizon. He sat up slowly, rubbed his eyes, and took a deep breath. The air felt fresh, almost new. He looked at the same mirror that once showed a man filled with regret. But today, he didn't see that same tired face. He saw a man who had made a promise to himself. He whispered, "This is the first day of my real life." Aarav put on his old running shoes. They were dusty and worn out, just like his dreams had been, but he didn't care. He stepped outside his home. The streets were empty, quiet and cold. He started walking, then jogging, then running. At first his legs ached. His breath was heavy. Every part of his body screamed for him to stop, but his mind whispered back, "Keep going." Every step felt like a small victory. He wasn't running away from something. He was finally running toward himself. As the rising sun slowly painted the sky orange, Aarav stopped for a moment, looked up, and smiled. For the first time in a very long time, he felt truly alive. After the run, he returned home and opened his notebook again. He wrote 3 simple words at the top of the page. Day 1, started. Then he made a small plan. Nothing big, just simple, manageable steps. Wake up early. Exercise. Read for 30 minutes. Work on one single goal every day. He wasn't looking for perfection. He was looking for progress. As the days passed, something began to change inside him. He started to feel a sense of pride after completing even the smallest tasks. He began to respect his own effort. Every day he pushed himself just a little more, running farther, reading longer, learning faster. Of course, it wasn't easy. There were mornings when he wanted to give up. There were days when he felt tired and hopeless all over again. But each time that feeling crept in, he reminded himself, I've already wasted enough time. I won't go back. Slowly but surely, his confidence returned. His posture straightened. His eyes began to shine again. People around him started to notice. A friend asked him, "What's going on with you? You look different." Aarav just smiled and said, "I finally started." He didn't explain more, because some things can only be understood through action, not words. As the weeks passed, his life started moving forward again. His body got stronger, his focus became sharper, and his heart grew calmer. He was no longer just living, he was growing. The same man who once wasted his mornings was now leading them. The same person who once waited for motivation had learned how to create it for himself. The first step is always the hardest. But once you start, the journey itself becomes your power. Every small step counts. Every small win matters. Weeks turned into months, and a new rhythm took hold. The routine was set. Wake up early, exercise, study, work. Every single day. The initial burst of energy was intoxicating, a powerful wave of pride in every small victory. But then, the real test began. One morning the alarm screamed, but my body refused to move. It felt like lead, my eyes heavy, and a seductive whisper echoed in my mind. Just rest today. One day won't hurt. But a promise I made to myself pushed back. No more excuses. I forced myself out of bed, but the fire of motivation had dwindled to a flicker. The easy part was over. Pressure began to mount. My muscles ached constantly. My mind felt foggy with exhaustion, and at times that old familiar emptiness crept back into my heart. Life, of course, didn't pause for my personal transformation. The bills kept arriving, a few people still cast their doubts, and the summit of success felt as distant as ever. There were nights I'd just sit on the edge of my bed, staring at my notebook, the pages filled with ambitious plans. I'd ask the silence, "Am I really changing? Or am I just pretending?" The quiet was a heavy, non-committal answer. Every day became a battle, not against the world, but against the person I was yesterday. Some mornings I felt invincible. On others, the urge to give up was overwhelming. I was learning the hardest lesson of all. The most difficult part of the journey is not starting. It's continuing when the applause stops, when no one is watching, when you're the only one left to cheer yourself on. One evening, after a particularly draining day, I caught my reflection in the mirror. I saw the sweat, the tired eyes, the lines of pain etched on my face. But beneath it all, I saw something new. Growth. I whispered to the man in the glass, "I may be tired, but I'm not the same person anymore." Every setback, every moment of doubt, it was all building me piece by piece in the quiet moments of struggle. I began to understand that progress isn't always a visible spectacle. Sometimes it's a silent revolution deep within. I picked up my notebook again, not to plan, but to reaffirm. I wrote a new rule. Discipline is doing it even when you don't feel like it. Those words became my anchor. Whenever the desire to quit surged, I read that line. When motivation vanished, discipline took its place. Slowly, others started to notice the subtle shifts. My focus, a newfound calmness, a quiet strength. But they didn't see the cost. They didn't see the nights spent fighting back tears of inadequacy, or the mornings I ran in the freezing rain just to keep a promise I'd made to myself. And still, I kept going. One night, my body completely spent, I sat by the window gazing at the distant stars. A faint smile touched my lips as I whispered into the night. Maybe this pain isn't my enemy. Maybe it's my teacher. It was a profound realization. Struggle is the currency of transformation. There is no growth without discomfort, no strength without resistance, no resilience without pain. The road to becoming who you want to be is never easy. But every hard day builds strength, every challenge forges character, and every failure instills courage. Don't run from the struggle, embrace it. Because one day the very pain you feel now will become your greatest power. Months ticked by. The same boy who once despised mornings now cherished them. Aarav had changed. It wasn't an overnight miracle, but the result of hundreds of small, quiet days filled with effort. He still woke up early, he still trained, and he still studied, but now, something deep inside him had fortified. The very pain that once made him feel weak now gave him an undeniable power. The struggles that used to terrify him had become his fuel. People around him began to notice the shift. His friends would say, "You look different. You even talk differently." Aarav would just smile and reply, "That's because I live differently." He had stopped waiting around for motivation to strike. He learned to create it himself. He stopped chasing the easy path of comfort and started chasing growth instead. The same mirror that once reflected a face full of regret now showed him discipline. The same hands that once idly wasted time were now busy building his future. One morning, he was out on his regular run. The sun was just beginning to rise, painting the quiet streets in a warm, golden glow. As his feet hit the pavement, he remembered the boy he used to be, lazy, afraid, and completely lost. A small, genuine smile spread across his face. He whispered to himself, almost inaudibly, "I'm proud of you." Later that day, a message popped up on his phone from a friend. It read, "Bro, how did you change so much? What's your secret?" Aarav looked at the screen, a sense of clarity washing over him. He typed back a simple, powerful reply. "I stopped wasting my life." That single line said it all. He finally understood that success isn't born from giant, dramatic leaps. It's forged in the small steps you take, repeated every single day. The difference between his old self and his new self wasn't some hidden talent or a stroke of luck. It was consistency. Of course, the challenges didn't just disappear. He still had days where he failed. But now, failure didn't break him. It trained him. It made him smarter and stronger. He no longer ran from fear. He learned to face it head on. He started helping others too, sharing his story and encouraging them to take that first small step. He didn't feel arrogant about it, just deeply grateful. He had learned that real strength is quiet. It doesn't need applause or attention. It grows silently within you day after day until one day, everyone can see it. Aarav thought back to the message that had jolted him into action months ago. "If you died today, would you be proud of how you lived?" Now I would. He stood on that same rooftop where he had once cried, feeling lost and defeated. But now the city lights below didn't look cold and intimidating. They looked beautiful, full of promise. He stood tall, the wind gently blowing through his hair. A profound sense of peace settled in his heart. One day, you'll look back and realize that your struggles were never meant as punishment. They were preparation. Every tear, every failure, every lonely night, they were all shaping you into the person you were always meant to become. Aarav took a deep, cleansing breath. A final smile gracing his lips as he said softly, "I didn't give up." Scene opens with a shot of a city skyline at dusk. Soft, contemplative music begins to play. It had been one full year. Exactly 365 days since he decided to change everything. The man you see now is not the man who existed then. The person who once let his days slip away like sand through his fingers now lives every single moment with purpose. He wakes up before the sun, trains his body until it aches, fills his mind with new knowledge from every book he can find, and chases his goals with a focus and discipline he never knew he possessed. Close-up shot of the main character, Aarav. He looks calm and confident. Look at his face. The calmness there wasn't bought. It was earned. His eyes are bright, not from the city lights, but from an inner fire. His voice when he speaks carries a weight of confidence that can only come from keeping the promises you make to yourself. He is not the same man, not even close. But today is special. It's the anniversary. The same date, 1 year after a single message shattered his world and rebuilt it from the ground up. A message that simply asked, "If you died today, would you be proud of how you lived?" Scene transitions to Aarav sitting on a rooftop, mirroring a past scene. The city glows below. Here he is again, on the same rooftop, under the very same sky where he once broke down crying lost. It was here he made a solemn promise to himself, a promise for a new beginning. The wind is gentle tonight and the city below sparkles like a carpet of fallen stars. A smile finds its way to his lips as he remembers that broken version of himself. Lost, afraid, and so incredibly tired. He whispers to that memory, to that ghost of his past. "You made it." He didn't say it because he'd achieved every single goal. No, life is more complex than a checklist. He said it because he had finally learned what truly matters: to live every day fully, intentionally, and without regret. Aarav looks out over the city, his expression thoughtful and empathetic. His thoughts drift to all the people out there, still living the way he once did. Trapped in the waiting game, waiting for the perfect moment, for motivation to strike like lightning, wasting precious time with the most dangerous phrase in the world: maybe tomorrow. He wishes he could reach through time and space to tell them what he now knows deep in his bones: that life doesn't wait for you to be ready. Aarav takes a deep breath, pulls out a notebook and a pen, and begins to write. His voiceover begins, soft but powerful, as we see his hand moving across the page. One day you will wake up and realize that time has passed. Not slowly, second by second, but all at once in a sudden, breathtaking rush. You will look back and see a ghost landscape of everything you could have done, everything you could have been, but weren't. Don't let that day come for you. Don't wait for motivation to find you. Don't wait for the right time, because it's a myth. The right time is an illusion we create to justify our inaction. Start now. Start messy. Start scared. Just start, because every second you waste is a piece of your life you will never, ever get back. He finishes writing, closing the notebook with a sense of finality. He looks up at the sky again. The clouds part and the moonlight shines down on him. A calm, genuine smile lights up his face. He knows he isn't perfect. He knows the journey is far from over. But he is alive. He is trying. And for the first time in a long time, he is proud. He whispers to the night, "It's not about living forever. It's about living with purpose." The camera slowly zooms out, showing Aarav as a small, determined figure against the vast, beautiful cityscape. The soft piano music swells, becoming more emotional and powerful. Life is short. Don't waste it waiting for the perfect moment. The perfect moment is now. Every second is a gift. Use it to build the best version of yourself. Don't let fear or laziness steal your dreams. You only get one life. Make it count. The music reaches its peak as the screen fades to black. Text appears. Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Your support helps us create more content to inspire you to rise every day, stronger. We'll see you in the next one.